In the last video, we figured out how to divide a line perfectly in half without using measurements or calculations. Yes, this can be done digitally pretty easily without using these techniques, but these techniques are helpful for both our manual layout and basically the understanding that these exercises help us build regarding constraints and just geometric relationships is helpful when we do our layout work in Onshape or on pencil and paper or on our projects in woodworking or metalworking. But something's bugging me about what we've got going on here. We're going to evolve this exercise into making two equally sized triangles using just the circles, as well as making a hexagon using circles. And then there will be a challenge at the end I'll ask you guys to take on using the skills you learn in this video. But first, I do have to fix something. It's just bugging me that the origin in this is here because it makes it look non-symmetric, even though we know it is symmetric. So I'm going to move this origin back, move this midpoint, right on top that origin. Now you'll see why when I talk about fully defined sketches, why those might be useful. Because when I move this, it's going to mess a few things up, but we'll take it nice and slow. We're going to move that there. And that just looks a lot better to me. Now, if I try and extend this, I just want to go right past the arcs, okay? And for some reason, this point moved the right distance. So now I'm just going to take this line and keep it horizontal and stretch it to that center point of that circle. That's what this point is. This is the center point of the circle, and this is the end point of the line. Now, if you look at the constraint symbols, you'll see why it's different on this side. Notice on this side, we've got this coincident constraint. And coincident just means two lines are connected, intersecting somehow. And when we hover over it, it highlights our horizontal and our circle. And basically, it's just telling us, hey, when you sketched this out originally, you said, line, you have to be connected to the center point of the circle. Now over here, for one reason or the other, that didn't happen. It might have happened in yours, but for some reason it didn't happen in mine. So we're going to go ahead and establish that relationship. I'm going to click that point. I'm going to click that point and then use the coincident button right here. And you can see now that we still have two equally sized lines, even though the sizes changed, 2.9, and over here we got 2.9. So no matter what we do with these circles, with the center points of the circles, moving them, okay, at this point, everything should stay equally divided because of the constraints we've established. Now I'm going to turn those off real quick because they're kind of annoying. And I'm going to use the point command here. And what I'm going to do is, and this is going to be tricky because see how it wants to select the midpoint. You have to watch for this when you're doing your sketch work. Look, as I zoom in, you can see how close the midpoint is to the intersection. I don't want the midpoint, I want the intersection. See how those two coincident symbols popped up? All right, now if I just do this, one coincident symbol pops up. Now if I go, two. All right, that's what we want. I'm gonna go and plot a point right there. All right, so if you zoom out, you can see how easily it would be to accidentally select the midpoint of the line, and that might throw some things off. Same thing on this side. We wanna make sure midpoint's close, so we want to be careful. I'm just going to zoom in here and plot that point right there. And then I'm going to zoom out. If my scroll wheel will work. Come on. Can't remember how to zoom out manually. There we go. All right. And what I'm going to do now is use my line tool. You could have done this with the line tool. You could have skipped using the point tool. I just find you plotting the points is a little easier because then you don't have this tail floating around when you're trying to get things to connect perfectly. Now, I'm going to go ahead and draw the first triangle. You might see how we're going to draw this triangle, but pretty simple. We've got a line, connect these points, and we've got a triangle right there. Now, the issue is down here, we're missing another constraint that needs to be established for this geometry proof to work. And that is this center line is not that we use to bisect the original line right here. It just kind of keeps going, and it needs to, technically it doesn't have to. I mean, really we could, well, let's do this. We're going to delete it. Okay, we already know that this line divides that in half. And I'm going to put a point, again, making sure that's coincident to both circles. Both symbols showed up, all right? One symbol, two symbols. That's what we want. And then once again, we can use the line tool here. Watching our relationships as we go. And what you'll see here is we've got two triangles, 3.829 on one leg, 3.829 that are perfectly laid out there. All right, and again, we could change things up, and those triangles are always going to stay equally sized. All right, now let's do the same thing, but we're going to draw a hexagon. All right, so what I've done is I simply created a new part studio here, and I just duplicated it. So in your triangles one that you just did, you can just hit duplicate, and it will pop up another version here. And do that just help kind of keep things straight. And look right at the front, and I'll rename this just for reference's sake, hexagon. Now when we draw our hexagon, we're just going to go in and edit our sketch one by double clicking it. All right, I'm going to go ahead and clean up these triangles because we don't need them anymore. And what I'm going to do now is draw another circle that is going to be the same size as these two circles, except let me think about this for a second. We're going to make it, let's see, equal. And then we're going to move, yes, the circles together like that. So see what I did there? The Venn diagram, we're going to get rid, that happens in the middle, we're going to get rid of, close it up. So we have three circles, two that are touching in the middle, and then the one overlaying it. And now you can probably see where the hexagon might pop up. Pay attention to the relationships as I do this. I'm not going into as much detail because I feel like you guys could. And there we have our hexagon. And your challenge is to make this flower. You can do so by just playing around with your hexagon sketch a little bit, playing around with the circle tool, and you're going to use 6 equal sized circles to make this flower. Should look a lot like our 6-petaled flowers that we actually find in nature. And I will warn you, it will get kind of messy with lines everywhere. And then once you start trimming lines back from to get just to the flower shape, it'll go back and forth between red over constraint and blue and sometimes even black. And that'll be a good opportunity for you to see how constraints kind of affect sketch work. And if you can figure out, oh, that's why it turned red, that's why it's turning black, oh, now it's back to blue, and here's maybe a Y. Those are good observations to put into your observation bank. So anyways, thanks for watching, and go make a flower.